Bang! Flashbang, motherfucker, you got used to all the dark mode, now we're finally back into the light. Okay, let's fix that. Evening everybody, it's your local Rise here. I don't know why the fuck my eyes decided to go crazy for that one. Ugh. But, yeah, now we're finally back on the light assets. Which I said we would do like, 50 years ago. Ain't that fun? I mean, I can still do the shirtless thing if I really wanted to, but I don't know, man. I haven't used the suit in a while. I like the suit. I'm a salesman now. I gotta maintain that aesthetic. I gotta maintain that vibe. I gotta burp right into the microphone and make you all grossed out. But yeah, that's a clap. Today it is time for us to continue our progress into our battle against poverty and also Malthus. And by our battle, I mean George's. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the music down because it's a little loud for me right now. Hold up, gotta right in front of the volume mixer. iPhone, turn you down to 5. Always have to turn you down at the beginning of every stream because apparently you can't remember why I've done the groove music. I'll understand. But yeah, today we are starting from chapter 8. If you haven't kept up so far, well, first watch the VOD on my YouTube channel for chapters 1 through 4, and then for chapters 5 through 7, make a time machine because I haven't uploaded that VOD yet, and that's entirely on me. I'm gonna be catching up on all my VODs and shit tomorrow. That's the plan. I do have some other stuff going on, but I'm gonna try and at least get my VODs done because it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. It's just kind of tedious to constantly copy and paste the same shit over and over again. I'm just kind of a little lazy. And also a little stressed, but I'm really good. Like I said yesterday, I'm the best I've been in a while. I'm excited for the week ahead. I'm also excited for tonight. Got some stuff going on. Got a bit of a team night, so we can't be here too long. I'm gonna really try and get through as much as I can. This is gonna be a short ass reading stream. Maybe even shorter than the usual ones, like maybe an hour, 10 minutes at most. So let's shut the fuck up and let's get the reading. Link is right above me, as it always is, if you want to read along. I wish you could just copy paste it, but yeah, I don't know. Time to practice all that typing skill that you learned in the middle of school and then immediately forgot and went back to single finger typing. At least that's what I did. I don't type properly. But yeah. Maybe I should grab a water. I'm a little tired. I took a brief cat nap, but yeah. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1. Ready or not, here we go. Attempts to support the Malthusian theory with analogies are just as inconclusive as those that use facts. The strength of the reproductive force in the animal and vegetable kingdoms is constantly cited from Malthus to current textbooks. For instance, if protected from their natural enemies, a single pair of salmon might fill the entire ocean, or a pair of rabbits overrun a continent. Many plants scatter seeds by the hundreds, and some insects deposit eggs by the thousands. Each species constantly tends to press against the limits of subsistence, and when not limited by its enemies, apparently does so. These examples attempt to prove that human population also tends to press against subsistence. Unless restrained by other means, this must necessarily result in low wages and poverty. And if that is not enough, then actual starvation will keep it within the limits of subsistence. But what is this analogy valid? The human food supply is drawn from the animal and vegetable kingdoms. The reproductive force in the vegetable and animal kingdoms is greater than among humans. Hence, this analogy simply proves the power of subsistence to increase faster than population. All the things that furnish human subsistence have the power to multiply many-fold, sometimes a million-fold. Meanwhile, humanity is merely doubling, even according to Malthus. Doesn't this show that if a human beings increase to the full extent of their reproductive power, population can never exceed subsistence? There is one additional fact. The actual limit to each species lies in the existence of other species, its rivals, its enemies, or its food. Or sometimes, especially if you're looking at that first word, its lovers. There's someone in particular I'm calling out right now, but unfortunately they're not on this stream. But that's okay. They're tired. I'm not gonna force them. Humans, however, can extend the conditions that normally limit those species giving our sustenance. In some cases, our mere appearance will accomplish this. The reproductive forces of these species then begin to work in service of humans. This increase continues at a pace that our own powers of increase cannot rival. If we shoot hawks, birds will increase. If we trap foxes, rabbits will simply multiply. The distinction between humans and all other forms of life destroys the analogy. Of all living things, only humans can manipulate reproductive forces stronger than their own to multiply themselves with food. Bird, insect, beast, and fish take only what they find. They increase at the expense of their food, but the increase of humans will increase their food. The population of the United States, once small, is now 45 million, yet there is much more food per capita. It is not the increase of food that has caused the increase of humans, rather the increase of humans has brought about an increase of food. There's more food simply because there are more people. This is the difference. Both humans and hawks eat chickens, but the more hawks, the fewer chickens, while the more humans, the more chickens. Moreover, human subsistence in any particular place is not bound by the physical limit of that place, but of the globe. 50 square miles using present agricultural practices will yield subsistence for only a few thousand people. Yet over 3 million people reside in London, and their subsistence increases as population increases. So far as the limit of subsistence is concerned, London may grow to 100 million or 500 million, for it draws upon the whole globe for subsistence. Its limit is the limit of the globe to furnish food for its inhabitants. But another idea arises that gives Malthus great support: the diminishing productiveness of land. Beyond a certain point, so the argument goes, land yields less and less to additional labor and capital. Otherwise, a growing population would not extend cultivation to additional land. Acknowledging this appears to involve attempting the doctrine that a growing population increases the difficulty of obtaining subsistence. But if we analyze this proposition, we see that it depends on an implied qualification. It is true in a relative context, but not when taken absolutely. Production and consumption are only relative terms. Speaking absolutely, people neither produce nor consume. They cannot exhaust or lessen the powers of nature. If the whole human race were to work forever, they could not make the earth one atom heavier or lighter, nor could they augment or diminish the forces that produce all motion and sustain all life. Water taken from the ocean must eventually return to the ocean, so too the food we take from nature is, from the moment we take it, on its way back to those same reservoirs. What we draw from a limited extent of land may temporarily reduce the productiveness of land, but the return will go to other land. Life does not use up the forces that maintain life. We come into the material universe bringing nothing, we take nothing when we depart. The human being, in physical terms, is just a transitionary form of matter, a changing mode of motion. From this, it follows that the limit of population can only be the limit of space, that the human race may not increase its numbers beyond the possibility of finding elbow room. Remote and shadowy as it is, this possibility is what makes Malthus's theory appear self-evident. But there is still another difference. Humans are the only animals whose desires increase as they are fed, the only animal that is never satisfied. The wants of every other living thing are fixed. The ox of today aspires to no more than the ox that humans first yoked. The only use they can make of additional supplies or additional opportunities is to multiply. Boy. But not so humans. No sooner are animal wants satisfied than new wants arise. The beast never goes further, but humans have just set their foot on the first step of an infinite progression. Once the demand for quantity is satisfied, we seek quality. As human power to gratify our wants increase, our aspirations grow. At the lower levels of desire, we seek merely to satisfy our senses. Moving to higher forms of desire, humans awaken to other things. We brave the desert and the polar sea, but not for food. We want to know how the earth was formed and how life arose. We toil to satisfy a hunger no animal has felt, a thirst no beast can know. Given more food and better conditions, animals and vegetables can only multiply, but humans will develop. In one case, the expansive force can only extend in greater numbers. In the other, it will tend to extend existence into higher forms and wider powers. None of this supports Malthus's theory. Facts do not uphold it, and analogy does not support it. It is a pure figment of the imagination. Like the preconceptions that kept people from recognizing the Earth was round and moved around the sun, my iPhone is in the way of the words. I don't think things through. Alright, are we good? You good iPhone? Alright. Okay, Earth was round, moved around the sun, you know? You all know this. I sure hope you all know this. If you don't, we need to have a little bit of a talk. Alright. The theory of population is as unfounded as if we made an assumption about the growth of a baby from the rate of its early months. Say it weighed 10 pounds at birth and 20 pounds at 8 months. From this, we may calculate the result quite as striking as that of Mr. Malthus. By this logic, it would be the size of an elephant at 12, and at 30, it would weigh over 1 billion tons. The fact is, there is no more reason to worry about the pressure of population upon subsistence than there is to worry about the rapid growth of a baby. We are no more justified in assuming that overpopulation produces poverty than we are in assuming that gravity must hurl the moon to the earth and the earth into the sun. The fact is, there's... Oh, I already read that. Excuse me again. Sorry. Malthus asserted what he called positive and prudential checks. A third check comes into play with the development of intellect and increased standards of living. This is indicated by many well-known facts. The birth rate is lower among classes whose wealth has brought leisure, comfort, and a fuller life. It is higher among the poor who, though in the midst of wealth, are deprived of its advantages and thus are reduced to an animal existence. It is also higher in new settlements. This shows the real law of population. The tendency to increase is not uniform. It is strong where a large population will allow greater progress. It is also strong where dangerous conditions threaten the survival of the race. It weakens as higher development becomes possible and survival is assured. In other words, the law of population conforms with and is subordinate to the law of intellectual development. And difficulty providing for an increasing population arises not from the laws of nature, but from social maladjustments. These are what condemn people to want in the midst of wealth. In the last 2 chapters, we have supported a negative. That is, we have shown that Malthusian theory is not proved by the reasoning set forth to defend it. The next chapter will take the affirmative and show that it is actually disproved by the facts. So, in short, any analogies that are attempted to be used in order to prove the whole, population present against subsistence, we're all gonna die, Thanos is right, it all gets disproven by the fact that simply humans are kind of smart and they kind of manage to produce more than they actually wind up consuming. And I think that would go good for anyone. I mean, you've probably produced more than you actually consume. I would assume you sell a lot of stuff like at a grocery store. You make a lot of food that you never actually eat if you like work in a food plant or something. It's pretty simple. But yeah, as George does state, the only thing that could possibly be a check to this is space, physical space on Earth. You can't really apply yourself to the full extent you can if you don't have anywhere to move, if you don't have anywhere to grow, to produce. Keep that in mind for later. We're only at the beginning of this thing. Facts are the supreme and final test. The wide acceptance of Malthusian theory is a remarkable example of how easily we can ignore facts when blinded by a pre-accepted theory. The question is whether increasing population necessarily tends to reduce wages and cause poverty. This is the same as asking whether it reduces the amount of wealth a given amount of labor can produce. The accepted theory says that greater demands upon nature produce diminishing results. That is, less will be produced proportional to additional effort. Doubling labor will not double output, thus a growing population must reduce wages and deepen poverty. John Stuart Mill claimed a large population can never be provided for as well as a smaller one. All this I deny. In fact, I assert that the very opposite is true. I assert that a larger population can collectively produce more than a smaller one in any given state of development. I assert that poverty is not caused by overpopulation, it is caused by social injustice, not by any limitation of nature. I assert that in the natural order of things, a growing population can produce more than is required to provide for the increased numbers. I assert that other things being equal, each individual would receive greater comfort in a larger population under an equitable distribution of wealth. I assert that in a state of equality, the natural increase of population would constantly tend to make every individual richer instead of poorer. Good lord, man. George is like fucking Thanos' worst nightmare. All right, this man does not like this shit, and like. It's like I said before, this really doesn't apply too much to the modern day, but just the sheer energy this man has going against this idea. It's just fun to watch. It's like watching like the hero or the villain just like going after like the opposing side with like this very long, complicated rant of like values and philosophy, and like whether or not you agree with them or not, it's just fun to watch. That's essentially what I feel with this part of the book. It's just fun to read. Ah, thus taking issue with this theory, I submit the question to the test of facts. But I must first warn the reader. I must first warn the reader not to confuse the issue, even writers of great reputation have done. But the question of fact into which this issue resolves itself is not what size population produces the most subsistence. Rather, it is what size population has the greatest power to produce wealth. Power to produce wealth in any form is the same as power to produce subsistence. Likewise, consumption of wealth in any form is equivalent to consumption of subsistence. For instance, I may choose to buy food or cigars or jewelry. By spending on any particular item, I thereby direct labor to produce that item. We may set we may say a set of diamonds has a value equal to so many barrels of flour. In other words, it takes on average the same amount of labor to produce those diamonds as it would to produce so much flour. So giving my wife diamonds is as much an exertion of subsistence producing power as if I loaded her with so many barrels of flour as an extravagant display. Hey, what did your husband get you for Valentine's Day? Oh, he got me a diamond ring. It's so nice. Oh, he got me a bouquet of flowers. Oh, he got me that movie I was wondering. What did he get you, Jezebel? He got me a lot of flour. Oh, like some roses? No, the baking flour. Oh, do you bake? No, I don't bake. But he said that. He said it was equivalent to like your diamond ring. I don't feel that way. I don't know where he got that from. Similarly, a racehorse requires care and labor enough for many workhorses. A regiment of soldiers diverts the labor that could otherwise produce subsistence for thousands of people. Thus, the power of any population to produce the necessities of life is not to be measured only by the necessities actually produced. Rather, it is measured by the total expenditure of power in all forms of production. Therefore, we must ask, does the relative power producing wealth decrease with the increasing population? There's no need for abstract reasoning. The question is one of simple fact, and the facts are so obvious that it is only necessary to call attention to them. In modern times, we may have seen many communities increase their population and advance even more rapidly in wealth. Compare any communities having similar people in a similar stage of development. Yawn. I can totally ask my fucking bitch, who should have slept a bit better. Actually, no, I slept like 10 hours. Ugh. I hate the human sleep cycle. I hate that I adapted it so much. Now it's starting to affect me. Maybe I should have stuck with my actual biology, guys. Maybe I should just embrace who I really am. Nah, that's kind of boring. Okay, maybe this is a little not boring to you guys. I don't know. This is pretty normal to me. This is par for the course. All this shit. All right. Isn't the most densely populated community also the richest? Aren't the more densely populated eastern states richer in proportion to population than the more sparsely populated western or southern states? Isn't England, where population is even denser, also richer in proportion? There you will find wealth most lavishly devoted to non-productive uses such as extravagant buildings, fine furniture, gardens, and yachts. It is where the population is dense rather than sparse, where you will find the greatest portion of those supported by the general production without productive labor on their part. By this I mean the range of gentlemen of leisure, thieves, policemen, servants, lawyers, people of letters. Is he talking about mailmen? Okay, and the like. is where the population is thick rather than thin. In which direction does capital for investment flow? It flows from densely populated countries to sparse ones. Also, guys, you know what I just realized? Yeah, I've just been reading out of my head this whole time. Who the fuck needs this desk? Who the fuck needs it? I don't need it. I don't need it. That's why I'm so content just having myself on fire right next to it. I don't need this shit. You'll think I'm reading off the screen. Nah, folks. This is for you. Where will you find wealth? Oh, no, I read that already. Undeniably, wealth is greatest where population is densest. Therefore, the amount of wealth produced by a given amount of labor increases as population increases. This is apparent wherever we look. Let's examine a particular case. California. Okay, guys, I'm done reading for today. I don't want to talk about California. We're done. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all take care of yourself. Have a good one. Okay, bye. Alright, that was a lie. Fine, I'll read about California. Okay. Yeah, there's the C word. At first glance, this appears to be perhaps the best example supporting Malthus. While population has increased, wages have decreased. In addition, its natural productivity is also obviously lessened. I feel like California could be a source for, like, any bad thing that exists, because it all happens there. Ugh. Funny. You're a funny state, California. The wave of immigration that poured into California with the discovery of gold found a country where nature was in the most generous mood. Primitive tools would easily extract gold from rivers where glittering deposits had built up over thousands of years. The plains were alive in countless herds of cattle and horses and cattle, and soil was being tilled for the first time. Amid this abundance, wages and interest were higher than anywhere else in the world. This virgin profusion had been steadily eroding under the demands of an increasing population. I was a virgin. It was in California, not Virginia. Mining now requires elaborate machinery and great skill. Cattle are brought in by rail. Some land in use would barely yield a crop without irrigation. During this time, wages and interest have steadily declined. People will now work a week for what they got per day. But is this cause and effect? Are wages lower because there is reduced productiveness of nature, means labor yields less wealth? On the contrary. The power to produce wealth in California in 1879 is not less than 1849. It is greater. During these years, the efficiency of labor is increased in many ways by roads, harbors, steamboats, telegraphs, and machinery of all kinds, by a closer connection with the rest of the world, and by countless economies resulting from a larger population. No one who considers this can doubt an increase in productiveness. The return that labor receives from nature is, on the whole, much greater now than it was in the days of unmined minerals and virgin soil. The increase in human power has more than compensated for the decline in natural factors. In fact, consumption of wealth, compared to the number of laborers, is much greater than it was back then. Back then, population consisted almost exclusively of working men. My voice cracked. Now there are many women and children who must also be supported. Others who do not produce wealth have also increased in greater proportion. Luxury has grown far more than wages have fallen. The best houses once were shanties, now there are mansions. The richest then would seem little better than paupers today. In short, there is a striking and conclusive evidence that the production and consumption of wealth has increased faster than population. If any class gets less, it is for one reason only, because the distribution of wealth has become more unequal. The same thing is obvious wherever we look. The richest countries are not those where nature is most prolific, but those where labor is most efficient. Not Mexico, but Massachusetts. Not Brazil, but Britain. Other things being equal, countries with the densest populations devote the largest proportion of production to luxury and the support of non-producers. They are the countries where capital overflows. In emergencies such as war, they can stand the greatest strain. Though a much smaller proportion of the population is engaged in productive labor, a much larger surplus is available for purposes other than supplying physical needs. On the other hand, in a new country, the whole available workforce is involved in production. There are no paupers or beggars, neither are there idle rich nor whole classes whose labor is devoted to ministering to the convenience or caprice of the rich. There is no literary or scientific class, no criminal class, and no class maintained to guard against them. Yet, even with the whole community devoted to production, there is no consumption of wealth as in the old country. The condition of the lower classes, however, is better. Everyone can earn a living, yet no one gets much more. Few, if any, can live in anything that would be called luxury or even comfort. In the older country, consumption of wealth in proportion to population is greater. At the same time, the proportion of labor devoted to the production of wealth is less. In other words, fewer laborers produce wealth. fewer laborers produce more wealth. Let's consider one last argument. Could the greater wealth of older countries be due to accumulation wealth, not greater productive power? The truth is, wealth can be accumulated only to a small degree. Wealth consists of the material universe transformed by labor into desirable forms. As such, it constantly tends to revert back to its original state. Some wealth will last only a few hours, others for days, months, or even years. There are really very few forms of wealth that can be passed from one generation to another. Take wealth in some of its most useful and seemingly permanent forms. Ships, houses, machinery. Unless labor is constantly applied to preserve and repair them, they will quickly become useless. If labor were to stop in a community, wealth would vanish. When labor starts again, wealth will reappear almost immediately. It is like a jet of a fountain that vanishes when the flow of water is shut off. This is clear where war disasters swept away wealth, but the population left unimpaired. London has no less wealth today because of the Great Fire, 1666, nor Chicago because of its fire, 1871. On those fire-swept acres, magnificent buildings overflowing with goods have arisen. A visitor, unaware of history, would never dream these stately avenues lay black and bare a few short years ago. The same principle is obvious in every new city, namely that wealth is constantly recreated. No one has seen Melbourne or San Francisco can doubt that if the population of England were transported to New Zealand, leaving all accumulated wealth behind, it would soon be rich as England is now. Conversely, if England were reduced to the sparseness of New Zealand, they would soon be as poor despite the accumulated wealth. Wealth from generations past can no more account for present consumption than last year's dinners can give strength today. In sum, a growing population means an increase, not a decrease, in the average production of wealth. The reason for this is obvious. It so vastly increases the power of the human factor that it more than compensates for any reduction in the natural factor. 20 people working together, even where nature is scant, can produce more than 20 times the wealth one person can produce where nature is bountiful. The denser the population, the finer the division of labor, and the greater the economies of production and distribution. Thus, we see that in the very reverse of the Malthusian doctrine is true. In any given state of civilization, a greater number of people can produce a larger proportionate amount of wealth than can a smaller number. Can anything be clearer? The weakness of natural forces is not the cause of poverty festering in the centers of civilization. Consider those countries where poverty is deepest. If the productive forces were fully employed, they could clearly provide enough for all. They could not merely provide comfort, but luxury. Industrial paralysis and depression obviously do not arise from lack of productive power. Whatever the trouble may be is clearly not the lack of ability to produce wealth. Poverty appears where productive power is greatest and the production of wealth is largest. This is the enigma that perplexes the civilized world, the puzzle we are trying to unravel. It is obvious that Malthusian theory cannot explain it. That theory is utterly inconsistent with all the facts. It gratuitously attributes to the laws of God results that spring from social maladjustments of humans. But we have yet to find exactly what does produce poverty amid advancing wealth. Ugh. Whew, I was on that shit. I was going, bro. Yeah, long story short. More people equal more wealth. If more people equal more wealth, if more people equal greater productive power, then it not makes sense that more people mean less wealth. Oh, okay, I need to go grab a water real fucking fast. I will be right back, chiefs. Chaffs. I'll return. I'll return with more. Be right back. It will take 5 seconds. I'm going. Bye. Bye. I'm going farther away. Bye. Coming back. I'm bringing the water. Move it to the stream. Not like a water stream, like a live stream. It's the live stream I'm bringing the water to. Not to another stream. I think the natural stream has enough water in order to survive for a while. I think it's good. I think it's good, fam. I don't think I need to worry about the physical stream. Are there any other different kinds of streams. We got live streams, we got the natural streams. I don't know. I'm putting some Mio in my water because I want it to taste like cherry blackberry. I haven't been drinking enough water lately. I haven't been taking too good care of myself, but that's on its turnaround. Because I kind of realized me kind of losing myself in regards to dips in my attitude at my job. It's kind of given all those people who like are very, very cold to me for very little reason way too much like credit. It's like saying, oh yeah, you're 100% affecting to me, I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight and just let myself turn into like a fat fuck. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be sold to your negative ass attitude. I'm too strong for that. I am on beast mode. My success is only a matter of time. And if it isn't a matter of time, then I'm gonna keep improving. And then once I'm at a good level, then I'm not gonna be stopped. Being a salesman is hard, guys. For real. I mean it. It's not a job for everyone. But I like it. I like it. I want to get good at it. And I feel I need to get good at it. You know? I feel like that ability to, like, persuade and get people to, like, accept certain ideas. Like, it goes beyond just products. Like, it's ideas, it's movements, it's information, it's just... The power of persuasion is necessary in your daily life. And this is like the ultimate test and like training arc of persuasion. And I want to get good at it. And you know, just getting people to like you, to help people. Helping people is also another big one. Because that's kind of the mentality I go in with. Like, hey, I might be able to save you money. I'm gonna walk up to you with a smile on my face and treat you like a friend. Because I want to treat you like a friend. Yeah, you're my paid. You're gonna get me paid if we get through this, but like, if you're paying like $30 and I'm quoting you like 120, like, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna tell you have a nice day and be on my way. You know, we know the price, we know the comparison, you know the comparison, you're more confident in what you currently use. And yeah, I know not to try and pursue this anymore. I'll maybe remember your face and won't come up to you saying hi again. And yeah, that's about what it amounts to. So let's see here. We read chapter... Wait a minute. Why are we only on... Did I fuck something up? Okay, so we got in here. Oh, I scrolled up. That's why. I was so confused. I was like, how are we only on chapter 10? What? We started on 8. Did I miscount? Did I mistitle the video? That's embarrassing. Yeah, I'm taking a small breather. That chapter was long. This one's short though. How long is now we'll see how long 11 is. Hope everyone's having a good day. Hope people are enjoying themselves, you know. I try to be entertaining. I try to grip you, though it's kind of hard when I'm reading. Or I'm like fucking doing advanced calculus in my head while I'm playing Divinity. I'm getting better though. And kind of why I haven't even tried to like stray away from this stuff is I forgot y'all can see that. I forgot y'all can see me scrolling through all of this. There's no, like, important information in here. Nothing, like, doxable. Just... Oh, there's one viewer. I just like to... I mean, I don't like focusing on it. It's weird. It's weird now. I don't like looking at it, like, actively. I don't want it in my face. But, like, I'm not really affected by it anymore. Like, I'm probably just talking to Saribot right now. I don't fucking care, bro. I don't fucking care. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm having fun. Like, you gotta think about it like a Let's Play, you know? You gotta think about it like a Let's Play. I think that's a good... I think that's the mentality you should have when you're, like, a smaller streamer. Like, think of it more as, like, you're doing a Let's Play. And you're trying to be entertaining in that regard to yourself. Entertain yourself. Do funny stuff. Do funny stuff. Like, realizing that your sound effects broke. That's hilarious. I really need to, I got fucking hell, man. I gotta switch to that other app. I gotta set that up. Like I've been reluctant because I was like, maybe it's not gonna be as bad every single time. And it was going for a while this stream. Like it was going, and it wouldn't stop. I was like, hey, maybe starting it with Steam was the key. No, it wasn't the key. In fact, it's. I mean, it did go a while. Like, bro, I want to, like, learn Unity code myself. I'm, like, going into this thing and figure out, okay, why do you keep dying? Is it something I say? Is it something I'm doing? Breathing is nice. Breathing is very nice. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of stuff to say. I'm just tired, bro. I'm tired. I'm kind of like, it's a short chapter, but I don't know what comes after it. If the next chapter is short, chapter 11, if it's a short one, I'll read it. But if it's, like, really long, like, if this thing's, like, this scroll bar on the side is... Was that my tail? Did my tail make that noise? Y'all heard that, right? I think it broke again. Pull up. Come on. Come on, buddy. There you go. Jesus Christ. It was just like... Ugh. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, if like the scroll bar is like half the size, I'm probably gonna end stream there. Like I said, we're going through it. We're going through it today. I want to get this done so I don't miss future plans, and maybe I can take a little bit more of a nap, relax a little bit, because I've been on my feet all day today. I've been on my feet. I've been in the skies, flying from place to place, scaring a lot of people because they're wondering why a fucking yellow-ass comet is flying through the air. And why an earthquake is happening every step I take. It's just, yeah. Alright. We fucking ready, boys. Let's get this shit. Our preceding examination has shown that the current explanation for the persistence of poverty despite increasing wealth is no explanation at all. But by demolishing it, we have made the facts appear even more inexplicable. We have, in short, proved that wages should be highest where they are actually lowest. At least we have discovered where it is useless to look. The cause of poverty is not lack of capital, nor is it limitation of nature. In short, it is not found in laws governing the production of wealth. Therefore, we must examine the laws governing its distribution. First, let's outline the distribution of wealth. Since land, labor, and capital join to produce wealth, the output must be divided among these three. To discover the cause of poverty, we will have to find the law that determines the part that is distributed to labor, wages. Then, to make sure this law is correct, we must also find the laws fixing what part goes to capital, interest, and what part goes to landowners, rent. Guys, I'm not looking forward to the one on interest if it's in here. I still barely understand that shit. It's... Uh, George really didn't think his law of interest through all the way. And it's very confusing. And I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to explain it. I don't want to do anything with it. I don't want to look at it. I don't even want to mention it. But I have to. You always have to mention it because it's the one part of this book where you're just kind of staring at, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that you're already thinking that for most of it already because you're having to reread the same fucking paragraph like 5 times because George is verbose as fuck. Anyways. Producing is not simply making things, it also includes increasing their value by transporting or exchanging them. Wealth is produced by the commercial community just as is by agriculture or manufacturing community. In each case, some of it will go to the owners of capital, some to laborers, and some to the owners of land. Additionally, since capital is constantly consumed and constantly replaced, a portion of the wealth produced goes towards the replacement of capital. I lost my place. It is not necessary to take this replacement of capital into account, however. It is eliminated by considering capital as continuous. We habitually do this both in speaking and thinking of it. To produce the community is the general fund that supports all consumption. The term refers to the wealth produced beyond what is required to replace any capital consumed in the process. Therefore, interest means what goes to capital after its replacement or maintenance. Furthermore, some of the wealth produced is taken by government taxes, except in the most primitive communities. Again, for our purposes in determining the laws of distribution, we may consider taxation either as not existing or as reducing output by that amount. Certain forms of monopoly exercise powers analogous to taxation and may be treated likewise. We will discuss these in Chapter 13. Don't say it. Don't say the fucking meme. I won't say it. After we have discovered the laws of distribution, we can see that what effect taxation has upon the process. Economists do not understand these laws correctly, as we may see in any standard text. In all these works, we are told that the 3 factors to production are land, labor, and capital, or these days entrepreneurship, which is just fancy labor, and I'm not fucking backing down from that, and that the entire output is distributed to the corresponding parts. Therefore, 3 terms are needed. Each should clearly express one part to the exclusion of others. Rent is defined clearly enough as the part that goes to the owners of land. The term wages is also defined clearly enough as the part that is returned to labor. The third term then should express the return for the use of capital. But here we find a problem. In standard economics books, there is a puzzling ambiguity and confusion. The term that comes closest to expressing the idea of return to capital is interest. Interest implies the return for the use of capital, exclusive of any labor in its use or management, and also exclusive of risk. Note that the word profits simply means what is received in excess of what is expended. Such receipts may include rent and interest and wages, including compensation for risk. Therefore, profits cannot be used to signify the share going to capital, as distinct from that going to labor and to landowners. The term has no place in discussing distribution of wealth between the 3 factors of production unless extreme violence is done to its meaning. Okay, I actually want to elaborate on this part of it. So you might be thinking, okay, so from what I understand so far, we got like the natural. Actually, I'm not sure if we understand it so far. Whatever. So we got like the natural base value of whatever the fuck the thing is made out. Let's take my water bottle for instance. So we got the plastic, which was made from petroleum, and the petroleum in its raw form has its own natural value that's still a part of this bottle. Same goes for the label, the cap. There's also the water that is inside it. That had its own natural value, absent of like any human input or lizard freak input. But essentially, yeah, like there's like natural value in this thing that had no human input whatsoever. Then we got the labor that went into it, like the labor that went to the bottle and the label and the cap and putting the water into the bottle for the machinery that was operated by the workers or watched by the workers. Like that's also part of the value of this water bottle. And that was added, and like what was added to the bottle was returned to the workers in the form of money. So it was like an equal exchange, an equal amount given in, an equal amount given out. But then we get to interest. And as George says, you're probably thinking like, okay, so we got the natural value, the price they paid for that, et cetera, whatever they did. Then we got the labor value, so everything else must be interest, right? Well, no, because sure, we got the labor that was put in by the workers, but you also need to consider, the labor that was part of the owner of the company or the management or the people that may not have had direct hand in it, but certainly were laboring to some regard. That's also a part of it. That's, yeah. Like, regardless of how valuable you think that work is, at the end of the day, like, there was still someone having to, like, go through, order all those resources, hire all those workers, organize the plan for the day, tell those workers what to do, etc., etc., etc. And just through that alone, we can see that profit by itself does not, equate to raw interest. Not by itself. Because it can just be any, like, mishmash of pretty much anything but land. Right? Well, no. I suppose you could have land in the profit. Because, like, if you have a... Well, that's getting a little ahead of myself at that point. Let's just continue reading. Alright, so... unless extreme violence is done to its meaning. Okay. To speak of the distribution of wealth into rent, wages, and profits is like dividing mankind into men, women, and human beings. Yet, to the utter bewilderment of the reader, this is what is done in all standard works. Undoubtedly, thousands have vainly puzzled over this confusion of terms and abandoned their efforts into despair. Believing the fault that could not be in such great thinkers, they assumed it must be their own stupidity. Reading John Stuart Mill, you can see this confusion exemplified by the most logical of English economists in a manner more striking than I care to characterize. No text, to my knowledge, brings these laws together so the reader can recognize their relation to each other. Instead, each is enveloped in a mass of reflections and disassertations. The reason is not far to seek. Bringing together the three laws of distribution as they are now taught shows at a glance that they lack necessary relation. The laws of distribution are obviously laws of proportion. They must relate to each other so that given any two, the third may be inferred. To say that one part of the whole is increased is to say that one or both other parts must be decreased, or vice versa. Say Tom, Dick, and Harry are business partners. The agreement saying the share of one also sets the share of the other two, either jointly or separately. If Tom gets 30%, that leaves 70% to be divided between Dick and Harry. If Tom gets 30% and Harry 50%, that fixes Dick's share at 20%. But in standard economic text, there is no such relation among the laws of the distribution of wealth. If we fish these laws out and bring them together, we find them stated as follows. Wages are determined by the ratio between capital available for labor and numbers seeking employment. Rent is determined by the margin of production, that is, rent equals the amount of produce in excess of what could be produced from the poorest land in use with the same amount of labor and capital. Remember that. Interest is determined by the demands of borrowers and the supply of capital from lenders. Or, if we take what is given from the law of profits, it is determined by wages, falling as wages rise and rising as wages fall, when Mill calls the cost of labor to the capitalist. Bringing these together, we immediately see a problem. They lack relation to each other, what the true laws of distribution must have. Since they do not correlate, at least two of the three must be wrong. We must then seek the true laws of distribution that divide what is produced into wages, rent, and interest. The proof that we have found them will be in their correlation. To recapitulate what we have discovered in our investigation, land, labor, and capital are factors of production. Land includes all natural opportunities or forces, labor includes all human exertion, capital includes all wealth used to produce more wealth. The output is distributed in returns to these three factors. Rent is that part that goes to the owners of land as payment for the use of natural opportunities. Wages are that part that constitutes the reward for human exertion. Interest is that part which constitutes for the use of capital. These terms mutually exclude each other. The income of any individual may be made up from any one, two, or all three of these sources, but to discover the laws of distribution, we must keep them separate. I think the era of political economy has now been abundantly revealed and can be traced back to an erroneous viewpoint. We live in a society where capitalists generally rent land and hire labor. They thus seem to be the initiators or first movers in production. Living and making observations in the state, the great developers of economic science were led to look on capital as the prime factor in production. They saw land as an instrument and labor as its agent or tool. This is apparent on every page. It is in the form and course of their reasoning, and the character of their illustrations, and even in the choice of terms. Everywhere capital is the starting point, and the capitalist the central figure. This goes so far, both Smith and McCraw use the term natural wages to express the minimum on which laborers can live. On the contrary, unless injustice is natural, everything labor produces should be as natural wages. This habit of looking on capital as the employer of labor began when Adam Smith in his first book left the viewpoint that the produce of labor constitutes the natural recompense or wages of labor. Instead, he adopted the view in which capital is considered employing labor and paying wages. But when we consider the origin and natural sequence of things, we see that this reverses the natural order of things. Capital does not come first, it comes last. Capital is not the employer. Labor is reality employed labor. The matter by which labor converts into wealth comes only from land. There must be land before labor can be exerted, and labor must be exerted before capital can be produced. Capital is a result of labor, a form of labor, a subdivision of the general term. It is the only stored up labor, used by labor to assist in its further production. Labor is the active and initial force. Therefore, labor is the employer of capital, not vice versa. It is even possible for labor to produce wealth without being aided by capital. So the natural order is this: land, labor, capital. Instead of using capital as the initial point, we should start from land. And this is when it gets spicy. Alright, it's short. It's actually shorter than the last one. Alright, so we're going to read this one. Then we're going to be done for the day. But yeah, this... Man, part of me kind of wants to wait on it, not going to lie. Because this is when we're really, really getting into the meat. This is when we're really getting into it. So I kind of want to hold off on it for now. Also, I want to check something. I'm just making sure I did read Chapter 7 last stream. Yeah, I did. It goes on about Ireland and shit. Yeah, I did. Alright. But I did not... So if I stop here... Oh god, I will have to read about interest. I fucking hate my life. Okay, you know what? I'm actually gonna stop, because if I have to go through law of interest first thing next stream, I'm not gonna be having a fun time, alright, Chief? I'm not gonna be having fun. I don't want to deal with that. Man. You're supposed to make this easier to understand, you fucks. Ugh. You had one fucking job. Son of a bitch. Alright. Let's go back here. Put the book away. Put the desk away. It's all good. I'll be fine. Who can we raid? Who is raidable? Who's online and raidable right now? We need to find that person. My bit rate's been pretty good. That's good. I'm not rating Juniper. I am not rating Juniper. That is, yeah. Hey, Juniper. I brought you one streamer that may or may not just be a bot. Do you like me, Juniper? No, I'm not rating Juniper. That is, yeah, no. I'm not doing that. I just wish are you real, Saribot? Are you the one viewer? I need to know. This is important. Is it just you and me in here? I didn't realize it was not picking up my eyes. I was trying to look down, man. I was trying to have immersion, you know, like I'm looking at him, like. But I'm angry at him. Fuck Saribot. He never even does anything. My chat's well behaved. He's just here taking up space, making my viewer count go up for no reason. Maybe. Seriously, I don't know if he... I don't know. I've tried doing research into it. I did it last stream, and I couldn't find anything definitive. Not for, like, a moderator bot. For, like, viewer bots, sure. But, like, a moderator bot, I don't have anything. I don't got anything. I don't know if he's real. Are any of you real? You. You, person who just came into the stream, I'm looking at the viewer count. Are you real, or are you a bot? I don't know. I don't know who real viewers are anymore, man. I'm at my limit. I'm just speaking into the void. All I have is me and my Kirby plushies. Persona 4 on the TV, a GameCube, a mini fridge that has nothing in it because I haven't bought drinks in a while. Switch I haven't played in a while. That I really need to get back on Pokemon Violet, man. I haven't played it like since launch. And my friend with Ellie the Mental. Would be nice if he was streaming. I'd raid him. I'd do him. In both senses. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to end it off for today. Cause yeah, I got plans. So for anyone who decided to come, whether it be earlier or right now, I apologize to the single person who I may or may not know, who came here right at the tail end. But hey, it's okay. I'm not mad. I'm never mad. I love every single one of you. Mwah. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I will upload the VODs. I'm going to upload the VODs like immediately. I promise. Okay, not immediately. I'm doing it tomorrow. But I won't forget it. I'll write it on the schedule. It's one of my top things to do. Oh wait, I have another top thing to do. Fuck! I got too much shit to do, man. Too much stuff on my schedule. Ugh. You know, I think I'll do it when I get home tonight, maybe. I'll figure something out. But yeah. Hope y'all had a good time. Y'all have a good day, night, morning, whatever the fuck you're going through. And you have a good one. You fuck faces.